fear, don't be afraid. Oh, Peter, don't be afraid. Oh, Peter, don't be afraid.
Okay, so, and what I'm about to read is just a generalization of our coming to Newark. Okay, this booklet here is a booklet of my grandmom and grandpa's genealogical history. Okay, I have it. Grandpa's history doesn't go back far. Grandmom's history goes way back. Okay, Jake and Fleece. My parents, Jake and Fleece Hubbard, are sharecroppers. They came to Newark, Delaware in early 1951. They came from an area called Mount Airy, down in North Virginia, Halifax County, Pennsylvania County, Campbell County, and so on, the place of large, rich tobacco farms. Our history there goes way back, before the end of slavery. But we're going to start right at about the Emancipation Proclamation of our peoples. My mother's mother was Molly Oliver Hubbard. Molly's father, Kit Oliver, was biracial, part Indian, tribal unknown. Her mother, Ellen Gilbert, was also biracial. Her father believed to have been a white man named Jennings. Kit and Molly had 9 children. Robert, Molly being the 7th, born in Halifax, Virginia in 1877. My mother's father, Robert Jackson Hubbard, was the son of Coleman Hubbard, who was also part Indian, born into slavery. Before his freedom, he was sold several times, taking his master's surnames, Waller, Jennings, and also Hubbard. His wife, Elvira, is unknown as to where she was, as to who she was, where she came from, according to the 1900 census. Coleman and Elvira had 7 children. Robert Jackson, born in 1879, was the 6th child. Jake Hubbard Sr., my father, was the son of Henry Hubbard and Lou Hubbard. His grandparents were Jacob and Bertha Hubbard. Dad had only one brother. His name was Pete. Sorry to say there's not much recorded history from my father's side of the family. Sometimes people would ask me how Miss Felicia and Mr. Jake have the same last name before they were married. My response to that is, where they're from, there were 4 or 5 different Hubbard household plantations that our people worked during slavery and even sharecropping. Afterwards, Hubbard was and still is very well known in South Boston, Halifax, Gretna, Brookdale, and even Appomattox. Most all the counties in Southern Virginia had Hubbard households, as well as Bills and Hynecks and other large names. Our family, our people have always been religious folks. Early on, they found ways to congregate and praise during the hardest of times and wherever they were. Our places of worship then were in Mount Airy and a place called Cluster Pines. Evangelist Christine Waller, Bishop Milton Waller, Bishop Mangum, and Bishop Thompson were religious leaders at this time. Eventually, as sharecropping kept our people in servitude and the word of the fruitful North was spread, our family started moving. It is uncertain as to why Delaware was chosen, but it came to be understood that work was easy to come by, especially at the University of Delaware and surrounding industries. We're not certain, but people talk about Evangelist Waller having a great impact here. So we say that her, Bishop Lund Thompson, and Bishop Mangum was the wheel in the wheel that started the push for us to be here. Don't get me wrong, they didn't do this on their own without help from residents already here. The Patricks, Emma Unloud, Yankee Wilson, and the Chambers, I know we all remember the Chambers liquor store, just to name a few, were all residential and property landowners here. So when the word was heard, families started north. Jake Lee Hubbard Sr. was born 1900, and Felicia Hubbard was born 1912, moved to Newark, Delaware in 1951. With the help of Emma Patrick, they settled in what looked like a storefront barn across the street from Church Street. Pete is the baby at this time. I'm almost 3. Dad got a job at the university with the help from our first, Dad got a job at the university, and with help, he built our first little ranch-style house on Ray Street. If any of you remember, down behind our big house on Ray Street was a long little ranch-type house. That's where we lived at second when we got here. We had moved from down on Church Street. Mom had started day working, washing and ironing clothes, cleaning house outside the community. We came to know some of the families by way of Coach Wes Newsom at the University of Delaware. The Mungans and the Wolves were two of Mom's cleaning jobs that were very helpful to us at this time. In a few years, Dad was able to buy a truck to supplement his income of hauling boxes from stores down on Main Street, 5 and 10, Woolworths, Western Auto, even Peggy Cronin's. He also bought a couple of lawnmowers and started cutting grass in the surrounding community, especially down the Orchard Road area where Joe and Bonnie are coming along about now. My next two older brothers, Calvin and Lee, they're going to school up here. I don't remember this period of time too well, as I was young and I didn't know. I don't even remember coming to this school, but I must have come here for at least a year. I know that Dad and his older sons, Mickey, RJ, Harry, Webley, and James, are helping build a big house, aside from their own other ventures. Grandma and Grandpa have also come by this time. On our religious front, we still shared our praise. There was an old building next to the Elks Lodge and an apartment down on Church Street, as well as an old garage on the Bullock land in Iron Hill where services were held. That building over there, next to the Elks Home, is the building I'm talking about. There was a mishap at the garage out in Iron Hill and it burned down. Evangelist Christine Waller, in the forefront again, with Dad, purchased that land, and that's where the Church of God was built. That became our primary worship center, with Bishop Lund Thompson as our pastor and Bishop Jake Hubbard, my dad, as his assistant. My mother, Fleecy, was always the homemaker, doing for people in and out of the community. Everybody loved her. She would invite anybody into her house and try to provide for their needs, whether it been food or otherwise. I remember a bread drawer that she had on her sink in the kitchen. She would keep it full of homemade biscuits. And after the new London closed down, kids would intentionally walk down Ray Street so they'd get a morning snack or whatever. Mom said our door is always open, as was most of the doors in our community. Time moves on, children go, community blossoms, then Vietnam happens. The older ones are gone. James was a road runner. Calvin and Lee both served in Vietnam. Calvin even in Germany. I also, but only on national soil as a military policeman. After their return, it became even harder. Pop had retired from the University of Delaware, counting on his pension, but the university stopped it because of some discrepancy in his birth date. Calvin and Lee both suffered PTSD with day and nightmares and could get no work. So things went bad. Calvin, Lee, and myself all went away for a while. From there, things went downhill. Years went by, but Mount Fleecy survived. The university started expanding, buying up the community, building dorms. People began selling and moving, looking to better their lives. Left on Ray Street was Mom, Joe, and Webley. In the end, Mom sold the property and moved to a new place in Scottsville. Jake and Fleecy Hubbard had 13 children. Harry Lee Hubbard married Madeline Lane. They had 7 children. Zoe Hubbard married Lund Thompson. They had 5 children. Murray Hubbard married Milton Waller. They had 9 children. Robert James Hubbard married Janet Wright. They had 4 children. 1 child outside of that. Billy Leroy Hubbard Mickey married Margaret James. They have 7 children. Hubbard married Margaret James. They have 7 children. James Mason Hubbard married Doris Roy. They didn't have any kids. Charles Waverly Hubbard married Virginia Earl. They have no children. Will has 1 child out of wedlock there. Calvin Wayne Hubbard married Hazel Caldwell and then Hetty Williams. He have 2 children. Henry Lee Hubbard married Joanne Miller. They have 1 child. Myself, Jake Lee Hubbard, married April Crocker. I have 3 kids. Pete John Thomas Hubbard married Geraldine Graves. She has no kids. Joe Major Hubbard was with his life mate, Arlene Chambers. They have no kids. Bonnie Lee Hubbard married LaVersa Holden. They have 5 kids. In closing, let me say this. I am proud to say I'm from Newark, Delaware. Amen. But I'm also proud to say that my family is from Halifax, Campbell County, Brook Mills, South Boston, Gretna, Cody, Natalie, and even Appomattox. If you have family with the names of Hubbard, Word, Tucker, Oliver, Jennings, Poindexter, Lovelace, Gilbert, Miller, Anthony, Barksdale, Slayton, Adams, Waller, Donnell, Lane, Gibbs, Bridges, Lyles, Matthews, Wright, Colmore, Chatham, Ricks, Boyce, Patrick, Spices, McGee, James, Roy, Barber, Earl, Graves, Colvin, Rowland, or Chambers, I'll guarantee you that if you go into your family's genealogical history, you're going to find where our families connect. Wow. Thank you.
You just jump out on the water. You just jump out on the water. You just jump out on the water, Peter, and don't be afraid.